My beloved child, don't skip, because the moment you begin to absorb these words, something inside you will shift, your breath will deepen, your awareness will sharpen, and you will sense that what I'm about to reveal is not a story, not an imagination, but a moment already unfolding in the world around you. Right now, in a marketplace full of noise, footsteps, conversations, vendors shouting prices, children running between stalls, and strangers brushing past each other without noticing the extraordinary events happening within arm's reach, a police officer is walking with purpose. Not rushing, not panicking, but moving with a controlled urgency that only comes when something significant is at stake. And beside him is a man you've never met. Someone whose heart is pounding so loudly inside his chest it seems to shake his entire body. In his hands he carries a photograph, and not just any photograph, it is your picture. The corners are slightly creased from the strength of his grip, the surface smudged from his trembling fingers, yet he keeps wiping it with his sleeve as though he cannot allow a single speck of dust to touch something this important. His eyes dart from face to face in the crowd, his breath uneven, his steps inconsistent. He moves like someone who feels he is racing against time itself. My child, he is not searching out of anger or fear. His expression is not one of threat, suspicion, or hostility. His eyes are filled with a heavy mixture of urgency, relief, and something that resembles responsibility. As if he has been carrying the weight of this mission on his shoulders for much longer than the police officer walking beside him knows. The officer tries to slow him down, tries to ask questions. Who is this person? Why do you need to find them so quickly? But each time, the man only presses a sealed envelope tighter to his chest, refusing to let it slip even a fraction of an inch away from his heart. The officer grows more curious, but the man's responses stay short, quiet, almost whispered, as though he is guarding a truth too delicate to be spoken aloud in public. This envelope, it belongs only to them, he says, his voice cracking, as though the weight of those words is almost too much for him to carry. His hands shake, his eyes redden, and his breath becomes shallow, not from exhaustion, but from the emotional intensity of this journey. The officer studies him, trying to decide whether this is desperation or destiny, but he doesn't push further. He simply continues walking beside him because even he feels, deep down, that something larger than both of them is unfolding. People around them move unaware, oblivious to the extraordinary moment unfolding in their midst. A man selling fruit shouts about fresh apples, a woman haggles over a price, a teenager scrolls through their phone, a stray dog wanders between stalls. And yet, within this sea of everyday life, destiny is threading its way, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, toward you. The man checks your picture again, tracing your face with the tip of his thumb, his eyes filled with an emotion that even the officer can't fully understand. He whispers something the officer barely catches. I have to reach them before the hour ends. His voice is thick, trembling, filled with a mixture of fear and hope, like someone who knows that if he fails, something irreplaceable might slip away. My beloved child, this is not fear chasing you. This is fate approaching you. This is destiny cutting through crowds, cutting across streets, cutting through the fabric of ordinary moments to reach you. The envelope he carries is not just paper and ink. The way he holds it. The tightness of his grip, the way his fingers curl around it protectively, the way he presses it to his chest whenever the officer gets too close, reveals that whatever lies inside is precious, fragile, and meant only for your hands. He has checked 3 markets already, 2 busy streets, 4 narrow alleyways, and now he is walking toward the very place where your presence was last felt. He keeps glancing at your picture as though memorizing it, committing every detail to memory so he does not fail when the moment comes. His eyes search corners, rooftops, reflections in windows, shadows between buildings, as though any glimpse could be you. Even the officer begins scanning the crowd with a seriousness he didn't have before. Something about the man's urgency has seeped into him, convincing him that this is more than a simple search. This is an unfolding that carries weight, meaning, purpose. My child, don't scroll. Stay here with me, because every second that passes brings that man closer to the moment he has been waiting for, closer to the moment when the truth sealed inside that envelope begins to change the course of your life. Something enormous is moving toward you through those crowded streets, and the world around you is unaware of how close destiny is to crossing your path. My beloved child, don't skip, because the moment the man holding your picture steps out of that crowded street and into the narrower lanes ahead, the energy around him shifts into something deeper, heavier, almost spiritual, as if the very air has begun guiding his steps. His breath grows uneven and his fingers clutch the photograph like it is the last link connecting him to the person he has spent so long searching for, you. The officer beside him senses the change, too. His posture becomes more alert, his eyes scanning the surroundings more carefully, even though he still doesn't fully understand the urgency radiating from the man he is accompanying. The man keeps lifting your picture, holding it at arm's length, then bringing it closer again, memorizing each line of your face as if he fears he may walk right past you without recognizing you fast enough. His voice, trembled and cracking, whispers, "We're near." I can feel their presence, and even though the officer tries to hide his confusion, something about the conviction in that whisper makes him nod unconsciously, as though believing the man's instinct more than logic. The man's hands are shaking, not from fear of what he will find, but from fear of not finding you in time. He presses the sealed envelope against his heart again, and for a moment he stops walking altogether, closing his eyes to steady himself. He whispers your name under his breath, as if calling out to your spirit in the wind, and for a moment he looks as though he knows you're close but can't see you yet. He wipes sweat from his forehead, pushes through the noise, and steps into the next alleyway with the determination of someone who can feel destiny pulling him forward by invisible threads. A group of strangers pass by and he approaches them quickly, showing your picture to each one, asking gently, "Excuse me. Have you seen this person?" Some look at the picture and shake their heads immediately. Others take a longer look, their eyebrows slightly raised, surprised at the intensity of the search, but they still answer no. Yet something in the man's expression does not break. He looks at the officer with a mixture of desperation and conviction, whispering, "They're near. I know they're near." The officer, now more invested than he expected to be, adjusts his cap and responds, "Then let's keep moving." The man nods quickly, almost gratefully, as if the officer's presence is the only thing holding him together in this moment. He moves with new urgency, weaving through people, turning corners, stepping over puddles of rainwater, ignoring the loudness of the world around him. And then, just when he seems ready to lose hope from the lack of leads, the officer suddenly stops him. On the ground, near a wall, almost hidden by dust, lies a small folded slip of paper. The officer bends down and picks it up, dusting it off carefully. "What's this?" he mutters, handing it to the man. The man hesitates, his fingers trembling violently as he unfolds the paper. The moment he reads it, his eyes widen in shock and relief, his breath catching silently in his throat. Written in small, neat letters is a single chilling line, "I know you're looking for me." The man sways as if the ground beneath him moved. He presses the note against his chest, gripping your photograph tightly in the other hand, his emotions mixing into something indescribable. The officer's expression shifts from curiosity to alertness. "They knew?" he whispers, glancing down both ends of the lane. "They knew we were coming?" The man nods slowly, unable to hide the tremor in his jaw. Not just new, he says softly, his voice shaking, they're ahead of us. They're guiding us. They want me to find them. The officer feels a chill run down his spine, but he doesn't question the man's certainty anymore. He simply nods and says, then we follow the trail. They continue forward, the man gripping the note in one hand and your picture in the other. Each step feels heavier, each breath deeper, each glance sharper. The lane grows quieter, the shadows grow longer, and even the wind seems to pause, as if listening. The man begins asking strangers again, holding your picture out with a mixture of hope and desperation. Did you see this person? He asks softly, and some people shake their heads quickly, while others hold the picture a little longer, sensing the importance but still unable to help. The officer watches the man carefully now, no longer skeptical but genuinely invested. Why the urgency? He asks again, gently this time. The man looks at him with eyes that shine with something between pain and destiny. Because time is running out, he whispers. And what I'm carrying, it's not just a message. It's not just words. It's something that can change their life, but only if I give it to them myself. His grip tightens around the envelope, so tight the paper begins to bend. The officer tries to peek again, just curious enough to want a glimpse of what could have such weight, but the man pulls the envelope back with a protective urgency, shaking his head. This is theirs. Only theirs. No one else can see it. His voice cracks again, and the officer no longer pushes. He simply nods and walks beside him, matching his pace. They step deeper into the lane, and suddenly the man stops, turning slowly in place, eyes scanning every shadow. He lifts your picture to eye level and whispers, I know you're close. I know you can hear this somehow. And in that moment, the story shifts. My beloved child, don't scroll. Don't breathe too quickly. Something enormous is moving toward you with unstoppable momentum, and every step that man takes, every question he asks, every breath he releases is guiding him closer to you. The envelope, the notes, the search, the urgency, none of this is random. Not a single detail is accidental. Something life-altering is approaching you faster than you realize, and destiny has already begun its countdown. My beloved child, don't skip, because the moment the man holding your picture reaches the quieter edge of the market, where the noise begins to fade and the air turns strangely still, the entire energy of the search shifts into something almost electric, as if destiny itself has stepped closer to the surface of reality. He slows his steps, his breathing uneven, his fingers tightening so fiercely around your picture that the edges crumple under the pressure. The police officer beside him senses the invisible pull too, his hand drifts toward the small baton at his side, not out of fear of danger, but because the silence feels charged, watchful, like someone unseen is monitoring every movement. The man pauses beneath a flickering street lamp, lifting your picture toward the dim light as though trying to draw your face out from the shadows. They were here, he whispers, his voice low, trembling, carrying a weight the officer cannot ignore. The officer looks around, scanning rooftops, windows, doorways, but sees no one. Yet the man's certainty is too strong to doubt. He presses the sealed envelope, a soft, thick, slightly worn packet. Tighter to his chest, closing his eyes as though listening for something only his heart can hear. And then, almost instinctively, he moves forward again, guided not by logic but by an unseen connection pulling him through the narrowing alleyway. Each step he takes echoes softly, but underneath the sound of his footsteps is something else, something faint, something delicate, like the distant rustle of movement from someone who was standing there only moments earlier. The officer hears it too, his posture sharpening as he raises a hand to stop the man. "Did you hear that?" he murmurs. The man nods slowly, gripping your photograph like a lifeline. They walk deeper into the quiet lane, and the man suddenly stops again, bending down to pick up a faintly creased scrap of paper lying against the wall, a second note. His hands tremble as he unfolds it, and when he sees the message, he inhales sharply, eyes widening with a mixture of dread and relief. Written in the same steady handwriting as before are 5 simple words: "You're one step behind me." His breath stumbles. The officer curses under his breath, glancing left and right, but the man only smiles a broken, emotional smile. "They're guiding me," he says softly, his voice cracking. "They know exactly how close I am." The officer studies the note again, baffled by the calm precision of the handwriting, wondering how someone could anticipate their movements so perfectly. But the man isn't confused. He is vibrating with a kind of spiritual certainty that transcends logic. He whispers, "They're not running, they're preparing." They continue walking, and the environment around them grows quieter still. A stray cat darts across the path. A shopkeeper locks his shutter and glances at them, puzzled by the intensity of the man's steps. A cold breeze sweeps through the corridor, carrying with it a faint, lingering warmth. As if someone had just moved through this space moments before. The man slows again, staring at the ground. There, in the dust, almost erased by footsteps, lie faint impressions of fresh shoe prints. He follows them with his eyes, then with his feet, moving as though each print is pulling him toward you. The officer notices too and says, "These are recent." The man nods, his heartbeat speeding, his breathing shallow, and whispers, "They know I'm close." Then, out of nowhere, the officer spots another clue, a tiny folded piece of cloth placed intentionally beside a wooden crate. The man snatches it up, unfolding it with care. Inside is another message: "I'm aware of your steps." The man's hand flies to his mouth, holding back an emotional sound, half relief, half longing. His grip on the envelope tightens until the edges bend. The officer watches him carefully, seeing how close he is to breaking, but not with fear. With the overwhelming weight of destiny. "Why are they leaving these notes?" the officer asks quietly. The man looks at him with eyes shining with emotion, whispering, "Because they want me to reach them, but only when the moment is right." They move forward again, their steps becoming softer, more cautious, as though the very ground beneath them has become sacred. The man keeps your picture in front of him, whispering things under his breath. Your name, your initials, perhaps even silent prayers. The officer feels the heaviness too. He walks behind the man not as someone escorting him, but as someone witnessing a story that feels older than both of them. As they reach the bend of the lane, the man stops abruptly, staring at the wall on his right. Written in faint chalk are the words, "You're closer than you think." The man exhales sharply, stumbling backward for a moment before steadying himself. His hands tremble so violently the officer reaches out as though afraid the man might collapse from the emotional impact. Tears gather at the edge of the man's eyes, not tears of sadness, but tears of realization. "They're not hiding," he whispers. "They're waiting." The officer places a tentative hand on his shoulder. "Then let's go. The sooner we follow the trail, the sooner we find them." The man nods, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand, his grip tightening around your photograph until his knuckles go white. The alley turns again, narrowing into a stretch of quiet that feels almost untouched by the world. Every sound grows softer. Every breath feels sharper. The man steps slow until he is barely walking, more gliding towards something than pursuing it. The officer steps beside him, scanning carefully. The man lifts the envelope now, holding it between his palms as though protecting something sacred. "This belongs only to them," he murmurs again. "I can't let it be delayed any longer." A sudden gust of warm air brushes past them, not cold like the earlier breeze, but warm, like someone had just walked through and their presence lingered for a heartbeat longer than expected. The man's eyes widen. He whispers your name under his breath, as though the warmth itself is a sign from you. And then, just ahead, barely visible through the dim light, the officer notices something resting on a bench, a small, folded slip of golden paper. The man rushes toward it, unfolding it with trembling hands, his heart hammering in his chest. And this time, the message is shorter, more intimate, more final. It reads, "Don't stop. I'm ready." The man presses the golden paper to his chest, overwhelmed by a mixture of relief and urgency. "They know," he whispers. "They know I'm here. They know why I'm coming. My beloved child, don't scroll. Stay with me. Because every step, every clue, every breath is bringing him closer to you, and what he carries in that envelope is not ordinary. It is the moment that will change everything. My beloved child, don't skip, because what happens in this part is where the search turns into something far deeper than steps in an alleyway. This is where destiny begins tightening around every movement, every breath, every heartbeat of the man carrying your picture. As he and the officer step out of the narrow lane and into a quieter stretch of the city, the familiar noise of crowds fades behind them, replaced by a strange stillness, the kind that feels as though the world itself is watching what will unfold next. The man slows his steps, overwhelmed by a pull he cannot explain, as if an invisible hand is guiding him closer to you with every inhale he takes. He holds your picture up to the dim afternoon light filtering through a dusty window, his eyes tracing the lines of your face again and again, almost like a ritual, like seeing your image keeps him steady in a moment where everything feels too heavy for his heart to carry alone. The officer, sensing the shift, places his hand near his holster, not out of fear, but because the air feels charged, electric, as though something unseen has just slipped around the corner ahead of them. The man whispers, his voice trembling, "They were here. Not, maybe, not, I think, but they were here," with certainty carved into every syllable. His voice cracks as if the weight of those words is almost too much to speak aloud. He clutches the envelope again, tightening his fragile fingers around it, as though the message inside must be protected from the very air around him. The officer tries to ask again what's inside, but the man only shakes his head, closing his eyes for a moment, pressing the envelope to his chest like it's a heartbeat he has to keep alive. "This belongs only to them," he whispers again, and this time, even the officer doesn't push, he only nods, feeling the seriousness of his companion's mission. They walk further into the quiet street, where even the breeze seems to hold itself back, as if the entire environment has been touched by your presence. Suddenly the man stops at a wall where a fresh chalk marking glows faintly against the old bricks. The officer shines his small flashlight on it, and as the beam slides across the surface, words appear, words that send chills through both of them, "You're closer than you think." The man reaches forward with shaking hands, brushing his fingertips lightly across the message, as though touching it connects him physically to you. Tears pool in his eyes, not from fear, but from recognition. "They're guiding me," he whispers, turning the words over in his mouth like a truth he always knew but never said aloud. The officer, though confused, is silent now, as if even he feels he's witnessing something sacred, something woven not by coincidence but by divine timing. They turn the corner, and the man pauses again. On a wooden crate sits a tiny folded paper, almost glowing in the thin beam of sunlight splitting the alley. He rushes to it, unfolding it with trembling fingers. Inside, written with calm precision are the words, "I know you arrived." The man's breath stumbles. He presses the note to his forehead, his emotion spilling in broken exhale after broken exhale. "They're not running from me," he murmurs. "They're waiting for the moment." The officer kneels beside him, placing a hand gently on his back, grounding him. "Then let's keep moving," he says softly, for the first time sounding not like an officer on duty, but a companion on a journey. The shadows stretch longer as the sun dips lower, painting the street with a strange, warm glow. They walk deeper, the man following invisible breadcrumbs of your presence, his eyes scanning every corner, every flicker of fabric in the distance, every subtle movement that might be you slipping out of sight just seconds before he arrives. He lifts your picture again, whispers your name under his breath, as though speaking directly to the wind. And then, something new. A sound. Soft. Deliberate. Like a footstep behind a door. The officer hears it too and raises a hand for silence. They move slowly, carefully, toward an old door half-shadowed beneath a balcony. The man's heart is pounding so loudly he can hear it echo in his ears. He lifts his trembling hand, pushing the door gently. It opens with a slow, aching creak, like it was waiting to be touched by him. Inside, the room is dim but warm, lit by a single beam of golden light pouring through a cracked window. Dust dances in the sunlight like tiny stars suspended in the air. On a small wooden table at the center sits a glass of water, fresh, cold droplets sliding down its side, proof that someone was here just moments ago. Beside it lies another folded note. The man rushes to it and opens it with trembling fingers. Inside is a short message written with almost fragile calmness, "You took longer than I expected." His knees nearly buckle. Tears break loose. His breath shudders out of him like something ancient has cracked open inside. They knew. Every step, he whispers, overwhelmed. The officer looks around with sharp eyes, scanning corners, expecting movement, expecting someone to appear in the doorway, but the room remains still, as though holding its breath for what comes next. The man steps back, clutching your picture with one hand and the envelope with the other, whispering to the light, "I'm here. I'm right here." He moves deeper into the room and suddenly notices something on the floor near the far wall. A soft glow reflecting off something metallic. He kneels, picking up a pendant. It's warm, warm like it was held in someone's hand moments before being left there. Engraved on it, with delicate strokes, are words that silence the entire room, "You're coming at the right time." He presses the pendant to his chest, tears slipping silently down his face. "They trust me," he whispers. "They know why I've come. My beloved child, don't scroll. Stay." Because the moment coming next is the one where the line between searching and finding thins into a single breath. The clues, the warmth, the messages, they are all leading him closer to the revelation meant only for you. The envelope in his hands is beginning to feel like a heartbeat. The air around him is charged with destiny. And you are closer to this moment than you can imagine. My beloved child, don't skip, because in this moment the man holding your picture steps out of the dim room and into a narrowing corridor where everything seems to pulse with the echo of someone who passed through just seconds ago, and the energy becomes so thick it feels like even the air is guiding him toward you. His breathing is uneven, each inhale shaky and full of weight, each exhale trembling with anticipation. He clutches the envelope so tightly it bends in the middle, the sealed flap pressing against his palm like it has its own heartbeat. The officer follows close behind now, not as a guard, not as an authority figure, but as someone who has unconsciously accepted that he is witnessing something greater than duty, something spiritual, something fated. The corridor is lit only by slivers of sunlight sliding in through broken window frames, casting long golden streaks across the dusty ground. And there, between those streaks, the man suddenly notices something lying gently on the floor, a small piece of white paper folded with fragile care. His legs almost give out as he kneels to pick it up. He opens it with trembling fingers, and the message inside sends a shock through his entire body: "You're not late. I'm ready for you." His hands shake harder. He presses the note to his forehead, eyes squeezed shut, whispering your name under his breath like it is the only thing keeping him grounded. The officer watches, unable to hide the intensity rising beneath his calm exterior. Even he can feel that someone has been watching them, guiding them, leaving a trail that seems too timed, too intentional to be coincidence. They walk further, and the corridor opens into a small courtyard. Sunlight spills across the stones, warm and bright, but strangely quiet, too quiet. The man lifts your picture again, tracing your face with the tips of his fingers. His voice cracks as he whispers, "I'm coming. I'm coming," as though you can hear him through the walls, as though your spirit is hovering just out of sight. And then he freezes. Across the courtyard, leaning against a wall, is a small folded cloth. He rushes toward it, unfolding it carefully, finding yet another note inside. The words are simple but heavy: "You're following perfectly." The officer looks around sharply, turning in a full circle, scanning rooftops and shadows. "They were here seconds ago," he mutters under his breath. The man presses the cloth to his chest and whispers, "They're watching. They know everything." His footsteps become quicker as he steps deeper into the courtyard and toward a narrow stone passage. The walls of the passage are old, cracked, and worn, but someone has recently brushed along them. There are faint streaks, smudges, and the slightest fingerprints visible in the dust. The man places his hand over one of the prints and inhales sharply. "It's still warm." "They touched this," he murmurs, his voice trembling. "They touched this only moments ago." The officer nods, the tension in his shoulders growing. "Then we're close," he whispers. The man steps forward again, clutching the envelope as though it is part of his own heartbeat. As they turn another corner, something glints on the stone floor. The man kneels again, slowly this time, almost reverently. It's a small metallic object, a ring, simple but warm to the touch, engraved with your initials. His breath catches. His eyes fill instantly. He closes his fist around the ring like it's the most sacred object he has ever held. "They know I'm almost there," he whispers. "They're leaving everything I need to find them." The officer watches him silently, struck by the emotional depth filling the man's voice. This isn't obsession. It isn't fear. It is destiny, pure, undeniable destiny. The man stands again, but his legs feel weak under the weight of what he carries. Yet he forces himself forward, driven by something deeper than strength. He steps into another dim hallway, and this time, instead of notes, the walls are marked with faint chalk lines. Arrows, circles, guiding signs carved not in haste but with calm intention. The officer shines his small flashlight along the walls, and the man follows the chalk markers like they are sacred symbols leading him through a maze built specifically for him. Every few feet, the chalk becomes clearer, thicker, more deliberate, until they reach a final arrow pointing toward a wooden door slightly ajar. The man's breathing becomes ragged. His hand shakes violently as he reaches out to touch the door. But before he pushes it, he feels something on the floor just to the left, a piece of golden paper folded once, small and delicate, as if placed there for him and only him. He picks it up with trembling fingers. The officer watches, tense and silent. And when the man unfolds the note, the words feel like destiny itself speaking, "What you're carrying belongs to me. Don't be afraid." His heart lurches. Tears spill from his eyes. He clutches the golden note to his chest, whispering, "I'm here. I'm here," over and over like a mantra. The officer takes one step forward and places a steadying hand on his shoulder. "Whenever you're ready," he says softly. The man nods shakily, raising your picture to the light one last time, staring at your face as though memorizing it for a second before the truth reveals itself. His fingers tighten around the envelope so hard it almost crinkles before he pulls it back again, holding it carefully, as though afraid the truth inside will burst free before its moment. He inhales deeply, his throat tight, his chest trembling, every cell in his body vibrating with the knowledge that what's on the other side of that door will change everything. "I need them to see this today," he whispers, voice cracking. "No more delays. It has to be now. My beloved child, don't scroll. Stay with me. Because the next step, the next breath, is the moment where the search, the clues, the envelope, your picture, and destiny itself finally begin to collide. Something massive, something irreversible, something written in the threads of fate is waiting just beyond that door. And when he takes that step, the world around you will never be the same again. My beloved child, don't skip, because this moment right here is where the search stops feeling like a pursuit and starts feeling like a calling, a pull so strong it bends reality itself. The man holding your picture stands before the half-open door, feeling the weight of every second pressed down on his shoulders. His breath shakes, his fingers tremble, and the envelope he carries has become almost warm in his palms. As if the message inside is alive, waiting, anticipating the exact moment it will finally be placed into your hands. The officer stands behind him now, silent, steady, no longer questioning the man's urgency, because even he can feel the energy shifting in a way that defies explanation. The door creaks ever so slightly, as though someone has just passed through it, and a faint warmth lingers in the air, warmth that feels impossibly familiar to the man, as though it belongs to you. He steps inside, one slow footstep after another, each movement echoing through the dimly lit space. Dust floats lazily in the beam of light coming from a cracked window, but beneath the stillness is a subtle vibration, a sensation that whispers, "You're not alone," and then he sees it, lying on a small wooden chair near the corner of the room, a folded piece of fabric with yet another message placed gently on top. His heart lurches. He rushes toward it, unfolding the paper with trembling hands. The words, written in clean, confident handwriting, steal the breath right from his lungs. "I'm ready to receive what you brought for me." His hand presses against his mouth, his eyes filling, his knees weakening under the weight of emotion. "They know," he whispers. "They know why I came. They're waiting for this moment." The officer moves quietly to his side, scanning the room for signs of movement, for footprints, for any trace of the person who has been leaving these messages with such precision. And there, on the floor, partially hidden beneath the chair, lie faint footprints, fresh, crisp, leading toward another narrow hallway at the back of the room. The man swallows hard, gripping the envelope tighter, then steps toward the hallway as though his soul is magnetized to whatever lies beyond it. Each step feels heavier, yet more necessary, each breath more fragile, yet more determined. The officer follows close behind, the tension in the air growing thicker with every inch they move. The hallway is narrow, illuminated only by streaks of golden light slipping through cracks in the wooden walls. The floor creaks softly under their feet. And then, something glints near the wall. The man kneels slowly, reaching out, his hand shaking uncontrollably as he picks up a delicate object. It is a pendant, your pendant, the same one you once wore, still warm from the touch of the person who dropped it. His breath catches sharply, tears gathering instantly at the corners of his eyes. He presses the pendant to his heart, whispering, "They left this for me, they left it to tell me I'm close." The officer gently touches his shoulder. "They can't be far," he murmurs. The man nods, wiping tears from his cheeks with the back of his trembling hand. He pushes further into the hallway until it opens into another small room, this one even quieter, the silence so complete it feels like a breath held by the universe. On a shelf rests a single folded card with your initials written on the front in soft, steady handwriting. The man almost collapses as he picks it up, unfolding it with reverence. Inside is another message, short but powerful, "You're almost touching destiny." He gasps softly, clutching the note to his chest, overcome by the knowledge that every step, every clue, every sign has brought him within heartbeats of you. The officer steps around him, checking the room, inspecting the corners, alert yet strangely calm, as though even he feels the closeness of something sacred. The man rises again, weak but determined, gripping both the pendant and the envelope with shaking hands. Then, another detail catches his eye. A curtain near the far wall sways gently, not from wind, but from movement that happened seconds before they entered the room. He walks toward it slowly, pushing it aside, revealing another narrow pathway leading upward. As he lifts his foot to take the first step, he notices something taped carefully to the wooden railing, another golden note. His vision blurs as he tears it free and reads the words, "I know why you're here. Come." His heart nearly breaks open. "They're calling me," he whispers, his voice trembling with awe. The officer nods firmly. "Then let's go." They climb the narrow stairs, each step creaking under their weight. The man's heartbeat thunders in his chest, every breath dragging with emotion. At the top of the stairs is a small landing, and on the floor lies yet another message, but this one is written on thicker, more formal paper. He kneels, opening it carefully. The words shake him to his core. "The envelope belongs in my hands. Don't fear the last step." He drops his head, clutching the envelope with trembling devotion. "They're so close," he whispers. "They know exactly what I'm carrying." The officer slowly pushes the final door open, and the air that rolls out feels warm, alive, as though someone had been standing on the other side just moments ago. The man steps inside, and the room is washed in soft golden light from a single lamp on a wooden desk. On the desk lies one last object, a frame, standing upright, empty except for a handwritten line placed inside it, "What you're holding is the moment everything begins." The man breaks. Tears spill freely as he whispers, "They're ready. They're waiting for me to give it. My beloved child, don't scroll. Stay here." Because the envelope he carries, the moment he is stepping into, the truth that has been chasing through streets and shadows. It is now inches away from being placed in your hands. And when it is, nothing in your life will ever be the same again.